All right, hello once again, Jeff Scott from Jeff Teaches Programming with what I hope will be the last video in this series before I try to convert this thing into an ASP.NET application. So, where we left off last time, we have now gone through and discussed in data. We went over the PayrollDB context, the PayrollDB context factory. We went over the app.config file. We even went over, well, we didn't, but the validation library we've gone over before. We went over under services, the employee service file. Under models, we went over all 5 models. Our base model, employee.cs, and our submodels, if you want to call them that, hourly employee.cs, pieceworker employee.cs, commission worker employee.cs, salaried employee.cs. We rebuilt the database, so we've got a new migrations folder. But in the last video, we also went through FRM new startup. So the only thing left is this employee manager, the main CRUD form of our application. Now, what does this have to do? Well, it has to display the employees of whatever type we selected and put them in a data grid view. So in other words, that's what should appear in there. All right. Then we want to let the user either add a new employee in there, update an existing employee in there, or delete an existing employee in there. All right. And we want to make sure that we've, for lack of better words, have kind of delegated all of that database work to the employee service. Why? Because technically, I don't know if this is the best way to put it, but the form itself and the database should almost be agnostic toward one another. All right. So we're going to change this around. We're going to go through the entire thing. I'm going to add some comments. We're going to have one constructor in here that'll require both the employee data string and a constructed employee service. This means we won't have to worry about this null employee filter thing that we looked at before and that call this that we had in there before. Each field that's in there is going to be validated using what was in that validation library in the validation both. Remember in here we had, does the input exist or not? Is it a string or not? Is it a decimal or not? Is it I'm not using double here, but is it an integer or not? Which is in here someplace. All right. We'll create a text box on the fly so the shared Windows validators can expect a text box, so we can reuse it without a real text field. What does that mean? Take a look at it again at what we have here. We don't even have a text box in here anymore. We're trying to simplify this as much as possible. All right. So what do we have in here? We've got our, let's just take it from the top right here. We've got our using system, using collections, generic. Probably we don't need this. We do need this for any time we're using a form. We need the models because it has the different tables in it. And it has the, the employee type and the 4 subtypes. We need services for the employee service. And we need the validation library for our validation both helper files. All right. So what do we have in here? There's our namespace. Again, this is our main employee management form. It should display and edit employees of whatever type we've chosen in our FRM new startup. All right. As always, these things inherit from form. That's nothing new. All right. So let's come in here, and before we even create anything, we've got this stuff in here. And I'm just going to really, for now at least, I'm going to get rid of this empty constructor that we have here. But let's talk about what these are. Don't worry about this. We're going to get rid of that in just a second. No pun intended. All right. So we've got this employee service. What is this doing? All right, what is this employee service doing? Well, this will be a service to handle, try that again, a service to handle all database operations. All right, so it's read-only because once we create it, we don't want to be able to change it while the program's running. So it's private, read-only, employee service. We just are calling it underscore employee service. All right, this will tell which employee type the form is currently managing. It'll be set once at constructor time. All right, so we've got that. All right, now let's go in and talk about the constructor. All right, we want to be able to open the employee manager form pre-filtered, so to speak, to some specific type of employee. So we've got public, frmEmployeeManager, string for our employee type. Let's change this and let's add another parameter here. We'll put it down here. Look at that. The system even figured out what I wanted to add. All right. And it's an employee service. So we want to come in here, and again, let's get rid of everything that we have in here. Let's just start this from scratch, so to speak. All right. So the first thing we want to do is basically the first thing that we want to do all the time, which is initialize component. And what that does is it wires up everything we put in the designer. It's making sure that what's in the designer and what's on the form are both the same and they can talk to one another. All right. Then we want to set up an employee service. All right, so we're going to say underscore employee service equals employee service. Now, there's a chance we could have a problem with that. So I'm going to put in here question mark, question mark. So if we do have a problem, what we'll do is we will throw a new argument, null exception, like that. All right, that's how we're going to handle it. All right, then we're going to set up our employee filter. Filter type, whatever you want to call it. All right, we're going to do the same kind of thing. We're going to say underscore employee type filter equals employee type, but again, question mark, and let me just copy that from here. Like that. All right. Then what we will do, a little bit different here, we will now show the employee type in the title bar to make it easier for the user to know the type of employee they're dealing with. All right, so it's going to provide some clarity, for lack of better words. So this .text is going to be equal to, we'll put a dollar sign here, and I'm going to say employee manager dash, and then what we will put in here is underscore employee type filter. So it'll say, for example, it'll say either employee manager dash hourly, employee manager dash pieceworker, employee manager dash commission, employee worker dash salaried. All right. Next thing we want to do is load the grid. All right, so we're going to call refresh grid. Now I think we've already got a refresh grid. All right, but I want to get rid of basically most of the stuff that's in here. Well, let's look at it. Let's take a look and see what we've got. All right. Well, the first thing we want to do in here, that's not bad. But let's put, whoops, I'm sorry. Let's put a comment in here that says to fetch, just get, because it's get all employees. So get all employees from all four tables. From all four tables. That's what that's doing right there. All right, but when we get down to here, we want to say only keep the type of employee being managed by the form. The get type dot name that will return the class name. For example, hourly employee. The starts with that we're going to be using in here will, again, for example, hourly will match an hourly employee. All right, so let's get rid of what we have in here. I don't know if I can use any of the rest of this or not. I don't think I even need this. So I'm going to get rid of this for right now and replace it with what I want. All right, so I'm going to say in here, employees equal, and this is kind of cool, we're going to be doing what's called a link query here. All right, so it equals employees where, now notice it starts to fill some stuff in for us. I don't want that stuff that it's going to use, but I do need the where. And I'm going to use E for employees. E dot get type dot name. Don't worry if it's giving me an error because we're not done yet. Let's line this up. Dot starts with our underscore employee type filter, comma, string, comparison, dot ordinal, ignore case. All right. Why? Because it's possible somebody will put something in and mix the case rather than being the same all the time. So string comparison dot ordinal case. And we need two parens here. Dot to list. All right. And it's doing exactly what we set up here. it's going to come through and it's going to take all the employees that we have of all four types, and it's going to ferret it out to give us just the employee type that we're looking for. And just in case somehow something is different with the case, we don't care if it's hourly with a capital, lowercase, etc. All right. Now I think we can use at least some of the stuff that's in here. So let's put a comment in here that says clear the data grid view. Let's see, clear the data source first so that the grid will fully refresh rather than merging the old info with the new list. And that can leave what is referred to as stale rows. All right. All right. So that's what we're doing here and here. And then we're going to call this. We're going to say to resize the columns to fit the widest content that occurs in each column. All right. All right. Now we're going to come in here and we're going to start doing our thing, so to speak. So this is the code that will execute when we click the add button. All right. And after we get done with that, as you'd guess, this will be the code that will execute when you click the update button. All right. Now we're not done yet. I just want to make sure you understood both those. Now, what I'm going to do is, it's possible later we might want to add, I've got all the code in here, but I'm going to pull it out. And for now, don't worry about this. It's going to give me some errors, but I'm just going to call add a new employee. Now it's giving me an error because that doesn't exist. Don't worry about it. But we're going to put here private void add a new employee. All right, that should get rid of the errors that we had. Again, we're doing it like that so that if later we decided that we wanted to add a menu option to do this, all right, so we wouldn't be calling the buttons click event. All right, and again, what I'm going to do, I don't think I'm going to need most of this stuff now, so I'm just going to get rid of this. All right, probably be sorry I did that, but that's okay. So let's get going here. So let's first fetch, just like we did, wait a minute, I'm sorry. First, we're going to get, not yet, this isn't the right way to put it. We'll get the first name. And again, this is a common field. To all employees. Nothing new there. So string first name equals Microsoft dot Visual Basic dot interaction dot input box get out of there. There we go. And we'll just say enter first name. And this will be, the title of this will just be something, like add employee. That should be good. Okay, so that's going to allow us to enter the first name. All right, if string dot is null or white space. We actually, I think we've got something that checks for empty in here, don't we? Validation both. Public string. Does the input exist? Or is there input? Okay. See if we can use that one. I didn't use it in mine, but why not? If validation both dot is their input, and it's going to be, what do we need there? We need a value, which will be the first name. Trying to figure out how to use this. The value will be first name, and I don't know if I can say first name. I don't know if it'll take that or not, to be honest with you. Let's see. Need another that here. All right, so what doesn't it like here? It's a bool. Well, all right, we'll just do it the way I did it before because I know it worked. So we'll say if string dot is null or white space, first name. Oops, we don't need these now. We could return, get through it. Do we still have our, we don't even have what we had in here before. Let's just return. I'm going to try to keep this simple. All right, in other words, you put nothing in there, so we'll just return. Then we want to do the same thing for the last name. Why is it giving me an error here? It's saying that something is expected, a curly brace here. Huh. Oh, let's see that error. Oh, I think it's missing an ending curly for that. There you go. There we go. And let's do the same thing. Now, get an error because we've already got a first name, so this will be last name. So this will say enter last name, common field all employees. All right. So enter first name. Why don't we just say here? Yeah, these are all just going to say add employee. That's fine. All right. And again, if it's null, but this isn't first name now, come on. This is now last name. All right. Now, if we get down this far, we put in a first name and we put in a last name. So let's create an employee. If we made it this far, let's create an employee. So I'm going to see employee, emp. All right. Now, see where I am for time here. All right, I'm at 25 minutes already because I have to now do a big switch where I'm going to put in the information for each type of employee. All right. And then I'm going to go in And I'm going to do pretty much the same kind of thing for update. All right. And after I've done both of those, I'll have to do the delete. So that's what's left to do here. All right. So when I come back in the next video, we'll finish this one up. We'll finish up add. We'll at least get into update and get as much of that as we've done as we can. If we can't finish it in the next video, in the following one, we'll finish update and delete, then try to run this thing and see if we can get it to work. I'll see you then.